Hey everyone, welcome back to Flipping the Field from Kickoff to Closing, where construction meets real estate. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Just happy to be back in this seat. There have been a lot of things coming up over the last few days, and excited to talk about them.
There's a lot going on right now, and I think that there's a lot of good things happening. And tell me what you really want to go over today. I think that we've got a good one set up for everybody, and I think we're just going to dive right in. What do you say?
I say we dive right in. Really, the main topic of today's episode, we're going to be going over the actual decision making whenever it comes to owner-operator. So really identifying and talking through the importance, pros, cons, all the above, of being able to evaluate and analyze the amount of risk on a decision factor basis. So there's really two different types of risks. You have irreversible, and then you have reversible risk. Now, sounds pretty simple, but whenever you're dealing with an owner-operator and you're in the weeds and you're trying to make an impact on every single investment, every single opportunity that may come across your desk, what are some of those risks, and why do we really only have those two categories?
I mean, you really want to make sure that not only, that you're assessing everything, but you're assessing the risk for the whole entire team. Because a lot of those risks, I mean, like you said, there's two types, irreversible and non-reversible. That irreversible risk is not coming back.
Yep.
And it's permanent change. You can't reverse it. So I think one of the things that, we like to focus on is really digging into each situation and figuring out the pros and cons. And then, hey, is this reversible or is it not? And then you really want to make sure that you're understanding what's going on and the why, so that when situations do come up, you're able to attack them head on, but also still take a step back and really think into those scenarios.
Yeah, certainly. And I want to define the two first. So talking about reversible and irreversible decisions at the owner-operator level. So irreversible. Are you only talking about from a financial, from a capital, how are you looking at that, and how are you defining what that means?
I mean, it really comes down to the situation, but it's not just, financial related. It could be situational. It could be also tying, if I do something, is this going to impact somebody that I cannot change again?
Yep.
It's really thinking about, does this impact me, but who else does this impact, and am I going to be able to change something down the line? Just because it's reversible for me may mean it's irreversible for somebody else.
Yep.
So you have to really think about that.
Yep, 100%. And that's one thing that a lot of people, and when I say people, I mean business owners specifically, whenever you're trying to, so you're real estate investors and you're trying to scale your flipping business, scale your building business, expand the number of portfolio or the number of properties you have within a rental portfolio, things like that. One thing that's low-hanging fruit that a lot of people don't take into consideration is like, oh, well, this is real estate. Time is money. I got to move as fast as I possibly can. You can only, and we talked about that previously in the last episode, of being able to identify what those important items and factors are, whether it's on your team, within your deal, whenever the deal first comes across your desk, all the way through closing, whenever you're at the sale, all the above. But reputation. That's one thing that a lot of people don't even think twice about. And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to have a great reputation with this seller or with this contractor, because I don't want to be one of those guys that just talks business. I want to be about it as well.
100%.
What does it mean in a small market? And whenever I say a small market, take Greenville, for example, where we're based. How important is reputation in comparison to skill?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it goes such a long way. I mean, reputation is going to win you more business than anything else. And reputation, again, is one of those irreversible risks.
Yep.
Because if you burn a reputation for yourself and a company or how you do business, you're going to lose out on people sending you deals or people really wanting to work with you. Could be contractors. So as an investor or as a business operator, you have to make sure that you're protecting your reputation and really, not necessarily just doing it. This is for my reputation. You're really trying to make sure that you're doing it the right way. And, by keeping your reputation high, that's, a risk that's always going to be there. But when you're doing it the right way, that's something that is going to give you so many wins down the line.
Certainly. And especially whenever you're first trying to establish those relationships.
And don't just do them just to do it.
Correct.
It could be a real estate. It could be anything. Don't just do it to do it.
Yep. Don't just do it to do it. And like within that relationship that you're trying to build, and you're trying to build a name, you're trying to build a brand recognition just within your niche market and scaling from there is, like you said, don't just do it to do it. At the same time is like, oh, okay, well, this is the only deal. This is the only property that I'm talking about with this particular seller. They own hundreds in the Greenville area. I want to use this to be able to get my foot in the door. It's okay. Then you truly got to actually start assessing, analyzing, start to finish, not only yourself, but it's like, okay, learn how to say no.
Yep.
So, I really wanted to bring that up because call it reversible, call it irreversible, call it a one-way door, two-way door. It's not only your business and your team, your operations, it's also third parties that you're working with, because those 30 third parties are going to be the difference of you having $1 million in revenue or a $10 million in revenue. A lot of times it's not your operations.
100%. And, I think when we get into, all these different types of risk, and mainly as we're talking irreversible risk for your business, speed comes to mind a lot. Tell me why you think just speed in doing business or your operations could potentially sometimes become dangerous.
It could become dangerous because it comes down to a level of confidence. We've seen it firsthand. There were 2 mill houses. We flipped both of them. And the first one that we went, and we have a history in construction. We understand the financing side of it, the lending side of it, as well as the market. It was here in Greenville. We were very confident going into it. First one, we went in, we crushed it. Second one, it was the same exact house, same exact builder, built the same exact year on the same exact street. It's like all of those different things. It's very easy to think to yourself, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. There's a big difference between confidence and arrogance.
100%.
Because misplaced confidence can be the difference between you closing up shop or you taking over your particular market. So
when you go too fast or even have too much confidence, you might be overlooking those small details that you otherwise, if you were doing it the right way or the right, should have called speed, you would have caught those errors or those mistakes.
Yep, you absolutely would. And it comes down to an ego thing.
Yeah.
It truly does. And that's why I'm going to tie it back to another previous episode that we have, where we're talking about finding you a team member or a partner that is able to hold you accountable. Because when you get into it, everybody says it. That's a phrase that's as old as time is money. Time is money. However, you need to be able to approach every single project differently, or every single project the same, being able to make sure you're going through all those different due diligence, because there's so many different factors. Like I mentioned, all of those similarities, they were the exact same, and there were different issues, different obstacles, things like that, listen.
Well, in houses, you could run into, different, could it be erosion and sediment that happen on houses? You could have one house that's 2 houses away that settle and the other doesn't. Now you have foundation issues on one.
Yep.
So you never know. You've got to stick to your process.
Yep.
And just because you've done it before doesn't mean you can skip over a small thing. Oh, this is super small, and well, guess what? That could cost you thousands of dollars.
It made sense 2 doors down, I'll be fine.
That's right.
But I think speed it's a nice to have, is the way that I like to phrase it, because yes, it will get more deals in the door. It will have and create those relationships of, it's like, hey, these guys move. They absolutely move. They do what they say they're going to do. They hit the deadlines that they say they're going to hit. Some of the deadlines aren't actual reality, though. It's the ego that is in your way, or honestly, in a negative context, because it's feeding you that that level of confidence that you may not necessarily have unless you follow through and still go through the same exact process like you're talking about. If you're able to do that, say you've really leaned into the operations part of your team, you've done pre-mortems, you've done post-mortems on every single project you've ever done, and you really think you have a well-oiled machine to where it's like, hey, listen, like I used to have a team of 1, now I got a team of 4 that's handling all of these different roles, responsibilities, tasks. As long as you're able to identify and strategically operate to keep up with that level of efficiency and speed, go for it.
Yeah.
But make sure that you're not overlooking those important areas.
I couldn't agree more. One of the things that I love is smooth is fast.
Smooth is fast.
Because, hey, we talked about it. It could be a golf swing. It could be when you kick. You're not going to try and go kill it, right? Smooth is fast. Could be in any sport you do. If you take your time doing it the right way with the right process, you're going to probably end up being faster and more efficient than the person who's trying to go extremely fast.
Yep.
And guess what? All the while they miss certain items that you now have caught along the way.
Yep. I want to highlight one thing too when it comes to speed, because that's something I know we mentioned it multiple times, but that's something in real estate where it's like, oh, well, these guys don't work very fast. They're not able to get deals tied up very fast. However, if that's your constant feedback that you're receiving, whether it's with other investors in the area or other third parties or whoever it may be that you're conducting business with, if that's their constant feedback, think about putting yourself in their shoes as well as focusing on your process. If you're having the conversations on the front end and say, hey, this comes down to the operation side. If you're having those conversations, say, hey, this is what our due diligence process is. These are the boxes that we're going to check. These are what we're actually going to assess. This is how we're looking at the deal. This is the financing capital structure.
Yeah.
If you're laying it out to that level of detail, it's like, this is why we're not going to, hey, you want $500K at cash as an offer on this deal, and it's Monday. And you're going to say it's off the table by the end of this week because you have other investors that are interested in it. It's like, well, these are the steps that I have to take. If you were in that other person's shoes and you hear like, holy cow, like these guys are detailed. Like these guys have a process. They stick to it. They're not going to let anybody box them into a corner. It's like, that's the type of guy I want to be doing business with. Yes, you might not do that deal, but you're building a reputation for yourself to where it's like,
Well, you've got a system and process that's repeatable.
Yep.
And no matter what line of business you're in, it could be real estate or construction or anything, if you have a system and process that, in this example, if you're going to buy a house or from a seller, and if you lay this process out, they're going to be more open to willing to work with you because you're now an open book of, he's not trying to pull one past me, or it's all about honesty, transparency to protect that risk at the end of the day. Because guess what? If you now burn this one seller who, you said this in the beginning that, if I get a house under contract, in a scenario that it could lead to many more. Well, guess what? What if you didn't know that this person that you're talking to in any business had connections that you needed, but you've now burned a bridge without even really opening that door or having a chance to open that door?
100%. 100%. And that it truly just becomes an economy of scale. Obviously, you can have the processes, you can have the systems in place, and you can have that overall start to finish fully ironed out. At the end of the day, you got to execute. So still being able to stand by it, anything that we stamp our names to, and it's like, hey, listen, like, I'm not always going to have good news for you. It's construction. It's real estate. Everything doesn't go perfectly. So it's making sure that you're able to, one, still stand by that level of execution, take the accountability whenever it's needed, and at the same time, owning up to those mistakes, because a lot of people don't want to highlight and talk about, say, hey, listen, that was my bad. I overlooked it. That was my mistake. You say somebody like that's been in the industry, that's been in the business, regardless of what industry it is, they will have so much more respect for you. And again, it all comes down to, who do you want to be doing business with? You want to be doing business with somebody that's honest, transparent, doesn't always tell you what you want to hear, but is real with you? That's who I want to do business with, because at the end of the day, if I have my back up against the wall, and I'm in a tight schedule to where, hey, we have a completion date of this Friday, guess what? Sorry, guys. That means there were some weather delays or whatever it may be. I'm going to be out there on the front lines with you until 2 a.m., making sure that it's able to get done every single day this week.
Yeah.
And it's making sure you have people in your corner that are willing to take those steps and go to those at-bats with you.
Yeah, and as you're going through a lot of this, one of the things that, we have to think about on really everything that we're doing is, what's my downside risk? It could be life. It could be business. I mean, it could be with our team. At the end of the day, we're not just doing this for shits and giggles. We're doing this because we care about everybody that we deal with, whether it be internally or externally. And, we have to protect that risk. And if we, make a decision that is not kosher for that, I mean, there's a lot of downside risk. I mean, what are a couple things that you think that we have to really do and that we try to do to protect a lot of that?
Honestly, I mean, we do it, but we phrase it differently.
Right.
And I love the capping the downsize, because anytime it could be an investor, it could be another person in the industry or a builder, a flipper, whoever. A lot of times they're coming to you and they're pitching you saying, hey, this is why this deal is so great.
Right.
I hear you. Tell me why this deal is not great.
Yeah.
So as long as you're able, and that comes down to the risk like you're talking about, because I want to know, and this is how we approach every single thing. It could be on the construction side, real estate, lending, all the above, is I want to think about worst case scenarios every single time.
Yep.
So that at the end of the day, that's what you're doing, is you're capping your downsize. Because depending upon what some of those risk factors are, some of them may be irreversible.
Yeah.
Like some of them may cause it to where, hey, like we got to close up doors.
Yeah.
For the company because of this one little thing. Yes, we stuck to our process, but we didn't cap the overall level of the risks, or capping the downsizing. You always hear about every single investment opportunity or a particular property. Here's why it's so great.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why
the bad.
It's not.
Tell me the bad.
Yep.
I mean, I think I'm going to use the football analogy that we've used many times before, is you have to be one step ahead of your competition. And if you're playing offensive line, you have to be one step ahead of that defensive lineman and know what he's going to be doing based on how he's set up or the formation. And if you're doing that, you're able to now protect your downside risk. It could be, with a loan or an investment property, you're thinking of, where is this going to go sideways before we even start?
Yep.
What is the absolute worst case scenario here, and how can I protect that from happening? Yep. Or, and if that is going to happen, all right, well, it's not a deal for me.
Yep. And even then, I mean, we had a conversation today talking about a potential development opportunity. And the entire time, I mean, I could tell both of us were sitting there as like, okay, what's wrong with this deal?
Yeah.
What's wrong with it? Everything sounds so picture perfect. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, let's step back, go through our actual process. Hey, here's the due diligence. Here's what we're going to have to actually do. Here's what we're going to look into, because yes, all of that sounds great. There's a couple unknowns and unforeseen conditions that we have to make sure that we have a finger on prior to actually getting started, because that's the difference of having a 5% profit margin or a 25% profit margin. So if we have a deal that's a 5% profit margin just because we didn't follow our typical process, I'd rather do 2 small deals at 25% than one big one at 5%. Yeah, that looks awesome on your portfolio.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't want to derail and go off on a tangent of portfolios. We could talk about that in a later episode.
We will.
But I mean, I think that's the best way to do it. Don't let your ego confuse certainty on a project.
100%. Because this isn't like buying a house personally, where emotions are involved or I'm going to be living here forever. No, you have money on the line as an investment, and you have to protect that.
Yep. What do you think, because a lot of the stuff we're talking about are owner-operators. What do you think are some of the low-hanging fruit, or something that you've seen us being guilty of, you've seen other owner-operators being guilty of, that may sometimes need a reality check?
I think the biggest is, as we're talking about a lot about irreversible risk and maybe the one or two way doors, right, that you can't walk back through, is not being afraid to ask for help.
Yep.
I know as males, we are very prone to not being able or not wanting to ask for help when we do need it. And if you do have help or need help or want help, seek it. There are, no matter what industry you're in, there are people that have been there before and are willing to help you out through scenarios that you are going through.
Yep.
I mean, it seems very easy to say, but a lot of people think that they can do it on their own.
They certainly do. And I think a big thing with that as well is when asking for help, first of all, it's very difficult to do. We know that. But at the same time, one thing that's not talked about very frequently that I want to shed some light on, which ties very well into the conversation here, is a lot of owner-operators, the reality check of when you're actually starting to build momentum, you're starting to scale your company, you're starting to take on larger projects, you're starting to take on larger investments, you may still follow that same process, but at the same time, I think that could be a misplaced level of confidence in what your process of operations already is, because a lot of times you don't know that you have a leak until you start to see a little bit of a drop.
That's right.
So when you start to see a little bit of a drop, okay, are you going to go and you're just going to do a temporary fix to be able to get to the other side of this investment opportunity? Or are you going to actually, like, you're fixing, you need to fix the cause. You can't fix what the actual outcome is. So you got to find that root cause. And I think owner operators need to understand, and same exact thing with us, we talk about this almost daily, is, yeah, we're gaining a lot of momentum. We're starting to scale fast. It's okay, here's those particular bottlenecks. We've identified those. These are the areas of operations and efficiency that we need to actually improve on. Those same exact decisions, the risk actually can be inherently larger, and a lot of times are much larger because they're at a much larger scale.
Yep.
Same decisions, different risk profile.
Yep. I mean, 100%. I think it truly comes down to, do you have your systems and processes lined up? And also, even though you might have great systems and processes to protect the risk, have they been battle tested?
Battle tested. Yep.
I mean, have you had to, go through trials and tribulations on, whatever you go through on a deal or, opportunities? You got to make sure that it's lined up.
Yep. You got to make sure it's lined up, because if you think about it, what you're doing is risk mapping.
100%.
When you're in due diligence or it first comes across your desk, you're in the mid construction, you're trying to sell a property. Okay, what other exit plans do you have? It's mapping out a full risk profile on a particular opportunity, and you don't know if it's complete or not until it's battle tested.
That's right.
So make sure you're thinking about it.
Yep.
Just while you're actually having those come across your desk, it can be really exciting. It looks like hey, this is a huge opportunity to be able to grow the company. But at the end of the day, make sure that you have a complete risk mapping, because it's going to be battle tested. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
That's right. And as we wrap it up today, give me 3 pieces that we've discussed of what people can take away from this and how they can apply this to their business or life.
I think a big piece of this is making sure that you're attacking any opportunity with an open mindset. So don't jump to assumptions. Don't have the thought process, oh, we've been here before, we've done this before. Still stay true to what your procedures are and what that overall process is. Stay true to that. Don't overthink the importance or underthink the importance of reputation and brand recognition, because reputation can be the difference, like we mentioned earlier, can be the difference of your company lasting 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or you being able to retire this thing and hand it off to your kids. So I'd say lean into your processes, your systems, stay true to yourself in the foundation that investors have put in place for their company, scaling from the beginning. A foundation, I mean, shoot, let's talk about it on the building side of things. The stronger your foundation is, the higher you can go.
That's right.
That's as simple as it gets. So build the strongest foundation you possibly can. Constantly do reevaluating. Hey, where can we improve? What's our personnel looking like? Where are these bottlenecks within our operations? Where are our inefficiencies? Okay, postmortem, premortem. Hey, yes, we took a time to do a postmortem at the end of this particular project, this investment. Okay, did you do a premortem on the next one to make sure that you're actually capturing those and actually doing a lesson
And applying it.
And applying it?
Yep.
So learn from your lessons. We all have them. And always think about reputation. So I'd say be true to yourself, be true to your company's foundation, and lean into the reputation side of things, because we talked about it before, but that could be make or break.
That's right. Well, share this episode with any partner or colleague that you have before your next big decision, and let us know what you think.
Looking
Thank y'all
forward to
for
it.
joining us today.
Thank you.